Hi, I'm Blasberg. I'm the head of fashion and beauty here at YouTube, and I am thrilled to talk about fashion shows and fashion performance on YouTube with my friends at Launchmetrics today. Through fashion films and socially distanced activations, brands showed that the true power of a fashion show lies well beyond the front row. Now that the world is opening up again, people have been asking, do you think digital is here to stay? And the answer is absolutely. This season, we're still seeing brands bridge the digital and physical worlds. For both established brands and new brands, YouTube has shown that it is the destination to help engage with your ever-growing and ever-evolving global audience. So how should a brand engage with YouTube? That's the question we're going to answer today. I put together a series of top case studies featuring brands who have done it right. And don't just take my word for it. I partnered with Launchmetrics to pull the data that shows how YouTube can be a destination for lasting impact. Alison Bringé is my partner in crime, and I'm going to kick it over to her right now to start things off.
Well said, Derek. You know, too often in our industry, we measure success by immediacy. But the truth is, our consumers are following our brands days, weeks, and even years after our most iconic fashion moments. So with that in mind, we really need to think about every channel, every voice, and every strategy to make sure that we're leveraging them to tell our brand stories. Before we dig into the report, I want to tell you how we at Launchmetrics are helping brands understand their brand performance. We're breaking down the barriers between print, online, and social, and owned, earned, and paid media. We've created the industry's first unified monetary representation of brand performance. We call it Media Impact Value. You might know it as MIV. MIV helps brands understand what's working and what's not, and most importantly, what voices are helping tell their best brand stories. With this data and these insights, our brands can make smarter decisions around their branding efforts. Simple as that.
Let's get into it. Let's talk about Prada. As you already know, the key to social media is breaking down barriers, and the House of Prada did that in a major way in September of 2020. That was the first show featuring a co-designed collection by Miuccia Prada and recently appointed creative director Raf Simons, and following the digital format of the show, the two of them sat down to answer questions from an online audience. It was uniquely personal and very intimate, featuring two very mysterious and elusive designers.
Giving the audience this insider look into the conversation with Miuccia and Raf really paid off. In 60 days post-show, the brand had already seen over 150% increase in media impact value, over 350% increase in engagement, and more than 400% increase in views. Just remember, the tip was really creating engaging, approachable, relevant content that goes well beyond the runway.
Prada must have known they were onto a good thing because they repeated that format 2 more times in 2021. At the January menswear show, they participated in a Q&A with design students, and at the March women's wear show, they participated in a roundtable hosted by yours truly, featuring Lee Daniels, Marc Jacobs, Richie Houghton, Hunter Schafer, and Rem Koolhaas. This year, Dior proved that collaborating with the creator community is an incredible way to amplify brand impact. For summer 2022, designer Kim Jones asked Travis Scott to be his collaborator, and the collection was bananas. With YouTube, they premiered the fashion show on youtube.com/Dior and youtube.com/Travis Scott, which collectively created more than 2 million views, and following the show, they created ancillary pieces of content, including behind the scenes and celebrity interview that made an even bigger splash on the show and continue to rack up views.
So how did they rack up all those views? I'll tell you. You know, working with celebrities is a tried and true marketing strategy, but the secret to being successful on YouTube is to find those creators who already have a strong presence on the platform. And that is exactly what Dior did with the collaboration with Travis Scott. Considering the music industry's long history with YouTube, it certainly brought an impactful audience. Because of this successful collaboration, Dior saw a 65% increase in media impact value 60 days post-show, 176% increase in views, and more than 450% increase when it came to engagement. So, just remember, if you want to make a long-tail impact, you need to think about the right voice for the right platform to have the right strategy.
Now, let's talk about Pierre Moss, whose fashion show this summer was monumental. His first date was rained out, but when the show happened in July, the coverage was incredible. It was the first time a Black American designer had been asked to participate on the official French couture calendar, and the fashion show was actually an incredible piece of performance that involved speeches, dancing, singing, and then of course a fashion show that was inspired by historic Black innovators.
The show certainly was monumental, Derek, and the numbers were through the roof to prove it. 60 days post-show, the brand had already seen a 16,000% increase in media impact value, and over 13,500% increase when it came to engagement. I mean, incredible. And how did they do it? That's probably what you're wondering. Through the voice of the media. The top 10 posts on YouTube were from the media. If we look at 60 days post-show, the brand saw an increase of media impact value, just from the media, over 13,000%, with an additional 31 placements. Really, really incredible. In this changing landscape, if you want to amplify your message, you need to think about not just print and online when it comes to negotiating PR stories, but you need to think about moving content and social media channels like YouTube for your media outlets. So, as we move forward in this digital era, don't just think about press releases and still imagery, but think about moving content.
Jonathan Anderson had a pretty novel approach to a digital fashion show with his J.W. Anderson Show in a Box. And that was what it was. It was the entire fashion show in a box that asked people to recreate it at home. On YouTube, he followed up that surprising delivery with a personal walkthrough of the entire collection. Seeing the designer walk through each look offered a much more personal and intimate account than show notes or any other story could provide.
Merging the physical and the digital helped J.W. Anderson create the ideal 360-degree experience. Because of this success, the brand saw an increase of more than 750% media impact value 60 days post-show, as well as 555% increase in views. This successful strategy helped the brand live way beyond the runway.
Versaceopolis. Isn't that a fun word to say? Last year, Donatella Versace created a fashion fantasy wonderland and used all of the brand's digital channels to unleash it onto the world, and the fashion fans went wild. We regularly encourage brands to create multiple pieces of content from each fashion activation, and this is an example when it paid off. Versace created 5 pieces of content for Versaceopolis. I told you it's a fun word to say. And Allison, I want you to walk me through how it did for the brand.
Versaceopolis. You say that 5 times fast. Often our customers are asking, should I post quality or quantity? And Versaceopolis was able to marry the two. Because of their successful content strategy on YouTube, they were able to see a 500% increase in media impact value 60 days post-show, as well as over 700% increase in engagement 60 days post-show. Their success lied in the fact they posted many videos creating compelling content to keep the audience coming back. So, The secret and the takeaway here is if you want to be successful, you need to remember to build an engaged audience on the platform. You need to post relevant, frequent content instead of one-off content posts and keep them coming back to your channel.
Let's talk about Gucci Fest, which was one of the biggest moments in fashion in all of 2020. In lieu of a traditional runway show, Gucci invited acclaimed filmmakers to participate in a 7-day film festival, which was live streamed on youtube.com/fashion. It also featured very familiar fashion faces like Billie Eilish, Florence Welch, Jeremy Harris, Harry Styles. Altogether, the 7 main episodes drove more than 7.5 million views, most of which went to Harry Styles. And I'm gonna hand it over to Alison to walk us a little bit more through Gucci Fest.
You're right, Derek. Harry certainly did cause a storm, but it was actually Gucci's owned media that stole the show. Their owned media channels represent nearly 92% of the total media impact value. Second to that was media, and the media generated an additional $82,759 in media impact value, helping amplify the message of Gucci Fest all around the world. Because of this success, the brand saw an additional 200% increase 60 days post-show for media impact value. By leveraging all of their owned media channels, the brand was able to create success. So the takeaway is, think about all the voices, especially your own media channel and all of your owned media channels, to create a great amplification and a winning strategy for long-tail impact.
Well, there you have it. Those were some fabulous examples of how brands can create meaningful impact on YouTube. I hope I answered all of your questions. For all the latest and greatest in fashion news, don't forget to check out youtube.com/fashion. And I have one question for you, and that is, what will you create?